Okay, here we go. Hi everyone. My name is Nina. I'm with Insight Memory Care, and today we have Liz Wing from Chef for Seniors presenting on why food matters. Liz, would you like to give it a quick introduction? And also, would you like questions before, during the presentation or after?
Yeah, question anytime during, I guess.
Okay, sounds good. Okay, well, I'll hand over the floor to you, Liz. Thank you so much for coming today this afternoon.
Yes, thank you so much for having me. My name is Liz Wing, and I am the owner for Chefs for Seniors here in Washington, D.C., as well as across Northern Virginia. We service Woodbridge to Reston, Chantilly to Arlington. So, really, we cover the whole Northern Virginia territory. And Chefs for Seniors is actually a nationwide company. It's a franchise model that was started in Wisconsin. There are 100 locations across the country, and I own, of course, two of them. And the model that we have created is that we hire chefs in the area to cook for senior citizens who need some assistance for whatever reason. It's very rewarding work because we're literally feeding and nurturing people as well as helping them age in place. Many of our clients have dementia or Alzheimer's or other memory issues. And there's just a variety of reasons why folks need our help in terms of ensuring that they have nutritious food. So it's something that we've really enjoyed. I've owned this territory for about 5 years, and we've been growing ever since. And we have clients, like I said, across DC and Northern Virginia. So I'm very happy to be here. I know you all are a great partner for us, and we want to make sure that we're getting the word out about our services because we want to ensure that we are serving everybody who can benefit from the offerings that we present. That was just a quick intro. I don't know if you wanted me to jump into more of the presentation or.
Yes. Yep. So thank you so much for introducing yourself, and you can get started, Liz, whenever you want to.
Okay, great, great. And if we want a visual, we can look at the website we have with different menu options or a brochure that I sent over. But generally speaking, just to explain a little bit about the service. So what happens or how do we do the food or the meals or whatever? So what generally happens is a potential client will call me and say, "Hey, oftentimes I get somebody saying, my wife has been cooking for 50 years and she wants a break." And I'm like, yeah, she deserves a break, right? Or, memory issues are making cooking challenging. Or we just got a diagnosis with something that we have to really be cautious about what we're eating, like diabetes or kidney failure or, high blood pressure. And so I say, no problem. I can find a chef in your area who would be a really good fit for you, who has experience with these types of things. And from then on, I schedule the chef to do a visit every week. And during that visit, the chef is going to prepare meals for them to consume throughout the week. We have a large list of menu items on our website, about 70 different dishes that we've curated. And the client will pick about four of those dishes. So it's like a salmon dinner, a meatloaf dinner, maybe a breakfast item. And the chef will grocery shop and purchase all the ingredients that they need to prepare those meals. They bring the groceries to the house of the client. They also bring their own toolkit. So we often use our own equipment. We have our own knives and pots and pans and things like that. The chef arrives and kind of talks a little bit with the client, and then they cook for about 2 hours. We cook all the food to the kind of preference of the client and package it into small containers. So just like to go type containers or whatever the client has on hand. Um, and then we label it so people know, this is the meatloaf. It was prepared on June 11th. So we also know when it should be thrown out if it's not eaten. And then we label everything, we clean up after ourselves, and then we leave. And at that point, the client, they have a, cleaned up kitchen. You wouldn't know we were there. But the refrigerator is full of food for the week. And so it's as easy as pull out the container that says meatloaf dinner, stick it in the microwave, and it's ready to go. And so we've really kind of taken the guesswork out of cooking and kind of making sure that you're eating. And when I talk to family members who have a parent with dementia or other memory issues, we do talk a lot about how, we can label things. We can say, um, you know, Waldorf chicken salad, lunch, June 12th. And then the family member can call their mom and say, "Hey, have you had lunch yet?" Or can you go to the refrigerator and get the item that says Waldorf chicken salad, lunch for June 12th, sit down and eat that while we're talking. So we have a lot of ways to kind of get people to remember to eat. Also while we're there. So, the chef is there for about 2 hours, and I do many of these services myself. I enjoy cooking and kind of chatting with the client. Um, I often will go ahead and put a lunch on the table for the client. So I know that they're consuming a meal even while I'm there, and then they've got a dinner ready to go when I leave. So there's a lot of ways that we've really worked with families and clients to increase consumption, to increase nutrition, and to really help people age in place and take care of, any of those challenges that they're facing. So that's my summary about the service. And I think, if there are any questions, I'm happy to answer questions about the service, about the model in general. But yeah, any initial questions?
Yep. Guys, so feel free to put any questions in the Q&A and Liz will answer them.
Yeah. I can think of a couple examples, in order to kind of share a testimonial or share a story of a client who has benefited from our services. We also have people who unfortunately are going through cancer treatments and call us because they need specific support. And I have, a woman who called and said she had esophagus cancer of the esophagus, and treatments and everything changed everything about her taste and her experience with eating. So she had lost a lot of weight, and at this point, it was like she had to eat and she had to kind of like gain weight back. And so we were able to send in chefs that would just kind of make a lot of different things, because she found like she couldn't eat broccoli, but she could eat cauliflower, right? Or, if it was steamed, it didn't taste good, but if it was roasted, it tasted good, or whatever. And she had to figure this out, but we got to help her do that. And so that was a scenario where we tried a lot of things. We figured out what she liked and what worked. And then we started just making that food for her every week. Within a month, she gained 5 pounds. 2 months, she gained 10 pounds, right? So, like, really got her back up to a healthy state. And again, we did the legwork to allow her to taste things again and experience eating again in this new scenario that she had. And so that's an example of where we've really come in and supported a client through a hard time, but helped get them back on track.
Thank you, Liz, for that. There are a couple questions. So people are
Mhm.
asking the cost and then the locations.
Locations, is that the second thing you said?
Yes.
Good, good. So I'll do locations first. Yeah, like I mentioned, we're across Northern Virginia. So where do I have a lot of clients? I have a lot of clients in Arlington, Alexandria, like all throughout Old Town and, outside Alexandria. I have clients in Fairfax, Fair Oaks, definitely a lot in Vienna, Tyson's Corner, McLean. And then we have clients in Great Falls, Reston, Herndon, and because I have clients in those areas, and also Washington, D.C., so Northwest mostly, Georgetown, Tenleytown, those areas. And so because I have clients spread out so much, I make a special intention to hire chefs that are geographically diverse, that are spread out themselves. I have 10 chefs on staff right now. They live in, all a range of areas because I want to make sure my chefs don't have to drive too far to see their clients. So as I build clients in, let's say, Reston, I begin searching for a good chef in Reston to take care of that area. So, I've been really strategic about how I've grown in this region, and we started small in Washington, D.C. and Arlington, and we've really spread out by me being able to build clients as well as chefs, and kind of like I'm a matchmaker. I just kind of bring the clients to the chef, and then, like, they get to enjoy the food and get to know each other. And you really establish a relationship with the chef. And it is the same chef who visits on a regular basis. And that could be every single week. It could be every 2 weeks, whatever you decide based on your, dietary needs, your budget, and things like that. So the chef is going to get to know you, you're going to get to know the chef. And I know with memory issues, it's important too that it's a familiar person. So we are very strong in that kind of stance where it's like, this is the chef. If they work out well for you, it's going to be your chef. Like, barring their travel or, small things like that, they're going to be the chef that's going to visit you each time. Okay, so then cost. The way we structure cost is by the service. So this whole service of the chef, grocery shopping, cooking, packaging, and labeling. The cost for that is $200. What you will receive for the $200 is 14 servings. So 14 specific meals. That would be 14 containers that have like protein, vegetable starch. So like meatloaf, mashed potatoes, and green beans. So you'd receive 14 of those. So for a couple, that's 7 and 7, so they can have dinner for a week. And then by the time the chef comes back a week later, they've eaten all the food and they're ready for more. So the cost is 200 for the service. The only other cost that we charge is whatever the groceries are, which of course you'd have to purchase anyways, right? If you're gonna be eating that food that week. So we go to a local grocery store, Giant, Safeway. If you prefer Whole Foods, we go there. We purchase only the ingredients we need to cook for that particular service. So one onion, one bell pepper, 1 pound of ground beef, things like that. Our grocery bills, of course, have gotten higher recently, but they're about $70. So it's $70 for the food, the ingredients, and then it's $200 for the service. And you end up with about 14 meals so that you have a fridge full of food for the week. If you're a single person, you might choose to do that every 2 weeks, because what we can do is make a couple dishes that can freeze well. So we can do soups, stews, casseroles that we can help you put in the freezer, and then that can kind of help extend the lifetime of the meal. Because I do recommend that you eat the food within about 6 to 7 days of it being in the refrigerator. I You don't have to freeze meals that we cook. We're cooking fresh meals with fresh ingredients, so I recommend keeping them in the fridge unless you're going to take more than 6 days to eat them. So if you're a single person, you get 14 meals, you put, some of them in the freezer, some of them in the fridge. You also can ask us to make dishes that you could eat for breakfast or lunch. I like to have quiche or frittata, breakfast burritos. So that's something that can help you eat in the earlier part of the day. And then we can also make dinners for you. And so then you'd have like a nice salmon dinner, crab cakes, chicken, meatloaf, spaghetti and meatballs, whatever you want. And so kind of having a mix. So if you're single, you might want to have some variety there. If it's for two, oftentimes the couple will agree on some dinner items that they're going to enjoy that week. And so they have 7 each of these containers for dinner, so that's 14 total. I hope that explains it. So 14 servings, um, $200 for the service, and then whatever the groceries are, which average about $70. So if you want to do a rough estimate, it's like $270 for 14 meals. We don't we often don't break it out by meal or serving. Like, I'm not going to give you the exact number of that for a couple reasons. One, this is a holistic service, right? Like, we're visiting you, we're there for 2 hours. There's a little bit of companionship there, as well as I can't tell you exactly how many meals the chef is going to make for you at your service, because it's going to depend on what ingredients they're buying at the grocery store, right? Is it a pound or a pound and a half of ground beef? What ingredients maybe you have on hand that they're going to incorporate into your dish. We do, as long as you're okay with it, we use things from your pantry. If you have anything, in your freezer that you want to help get rid of, we can pull that stuff and incorporate that into your meals. So that helps keep the grocery bills down and helps you, use some stuff and not have to waste some items that might be going bad. And so, whatever the chef ends up preparing, it should be around 14 meals. And so that's why, it's truly that full service that we're offering. Any questions about that specifically?
Liz, could you, if possible, could you please go over like the nutritional requirements, especially for older adults, like what you would recommend, like that they would get nutritional wise?
Yeah, I mean, so what's important, I think, with older adults from what I am seeing is balance, of course, and making sure that we get the protein in. Um, Appetites go down for sure, and we have to make sure that what we're consuming is going to fuel us. So the protein is really important. Making sure that you are consuming food, even if you're not hungry necessarily, I think is important. But truly, everybody's different here, right? And so I think what's really critical is that you listen to your doctor's recommendations, your dietitian's recommendations, and that's where we can really help support if those recommendations are outside of what you're used to. What we see a lot is people being asked to keep their sodium content down. That is very hard to do, right? So, like, you go grocery shopping, everything has salt in it. Order something from a restaurant, it's salty. And so that is where we come in. So when I cook for a client that has, heart failure or for whatever reason needs low sodium, I don't add salt. I add other flavoring options like powder, garlic powder, onion powder, lemon, lime, orange, like a lot of different things that can bring flavor to the dish without bringing the sodium content to the dish. So we're able to really kind of manage a low sodium meal that is very tasty by helping clients choose good ingredients. And then also in the cook, we're not adding salt, and that's hard to find because that's kind of how restaurants make sure food is tasty. And in a grocery store, that's how they make sure it can stay on the shelf. And so that's where I would say about 90% of our clients are low sodium. So our chefs are regularly cooking without adding any salt or a lot of salt. Beyond that, something that's important about our service is that our chefs can follow any dietary guideline you give us. So I really encourage when you have a meeting with a nutritionist or a dietitian and they give you some papers or, some guidelines, like, give that to your chef, send me a copy, whatever, because we can follow that. But we are not nutritionists, so we cannot give you guidance. I cannot give you, my recommendation because I'm not certified in that. But we can certainly follow that to the point where I've had a number of clients where they give me whatever the dietitian has said, and I sit down and I kind of like lay out all the restrictions and then like what you can eat, what you can't eat. And I literally write menu items for you. So one of the hardest ones was I had a 90-year-old woman who had diabetes and was in kidney failure. So she had a renal diet and a diabetic diet and a heart condition, so low sodium. It really limited what she could consume. So I took all that together. I looked at what she could, it's like doing, a math problem. And we came up with 15 menu items, and I built her own menu. And then our chef started making, 4 of those items a week. Before we knew it, she found like 5 that she just loved. So every week the chef would go in and make, those 5 menu items for her. And she got to enjoy that. And her care manager actually told me that the doctor was really impressed with like how her numbers were kind of maintaining, because she was eating what she was, supposed to be eating. So we, when we say customized, that's the level where we are customized. So we can create personalized menu items to really tailor it to a person's needs. So that's what we do offer.
Thank you, Liz. Feel free, guys, to ask any more questions in the Q&A box.
Any favorite dishes? Ask a question, kind of share what your favorite dish is, and I'll let you know if it's something that we have on our menu. And while I wait, I'm going to share maybe the top 5 most often requested dishes from our clients. I see it all the time. I cook it all the time. One is crab cakes. We have a lovely crab cake dinner with rice and broccoli. It's great. And actually, the trick there is that crab meat isn't that expensive at the grocery store right now. But of course, to buy crab cakes at a restaurant is very expensive. But we just buy the crab meat, put in some breadcrumbs and egg, and make like meaty crab cakes for our clients. So that's a number 1 request. Number 2 is a lovely salmon dinner. Sometimes it's crusted with pistachios, sometimes it has a balsamic glaze, but people really like salmon. Number 3, I think, would be a meatloaf dinner that we offer. Classic meatloaf with creamy mashed potatoes and green beans. So that's a very common one. And then what I've seen a lot in terms of chicken dishes, we do a chicken almondine. So nice chicken thigh or breast with toasted almonds on top. And I think we serve that with roasted potatoes and green beans. And then last is a lemon chicken dish. So chicken thigh or breast with like a lovely lemon sauce over it. And that is served with rice and carrots. And that's a really delicious dish as well. So our chefs have gotten really good at some of those classics because we make them so often.
Thank you, Liz, for those suggestions. We have 2 other questions. The first one was, what protein sources do you recommend at Chef for Seniors?
Yeah, what protein sources?
Yes, like what are the best protein sources uh for, I guess, for older adults, and then also ones that you guys work with a lot. So like chicken or
Yeah.
beef or yeah.
Yeah, definitely. Yeah, so definitely a lot of chicken. And I think, white meat chicken is a good option. And of course we can buy organic if that's something you want. And so, anything lean is really critical. And another thing that I think is helpful, we love our ground beef, but it does have a lot of fat. And so if you replace that with ground turkey, you're cutting the fat content, but you're still getting a very similar experience and a similar taste. So that's a recommendation that I would make for anybody trying to cut back on fat and salt content. I've done that myself and I've really noticed a difference, health wise. So ground turkey, we use that for meatloaf, meatballs, bolognese. The other thing is that we add vegetables to a lot of the dishes. So on our menu, you'll see most of them are kind of outlined as like protein, vegetable, starch, but then we also can just do protein, vegetable, right? Like for a healthier, more lean meal. But to answer your question, I think it's chicken breast, and then um, ground turkey in terms of animal meat. But don't overlook beans, right? Chickpeas, garbanzo beans, black beans. Those are all really good sources of protein as well. We have a navy bean soup that's delicious. Chili has a lot of good proteins through beans. We have a chickpea curry dish, so a nice curry sauce over rice with chickpeas. So you don't always need the animal meat in order to get the protein.
Yeah. Thank you, Liz. And also someone asked, I know you mentioned that there's only you guys are only in Northern Virginia, but do you guys have any affiliates in Massachusetts area?
Yeah, we do. So, I mean, we definitely have somebody in Boston, Massachusetts. He's an OG. He's been around forever. So, if you're in Boston, you can easily find that. His name is John. But if you're not in Boston, I recommend for anybody who's looking, whether you don't live in the Virginia area or you know somebody who might benefit from this, go to chefsforseniors.com, and Nina can type that in if you want. But
Yeah.
chefsforseniors.com, you will find a spot on our website where it says like location locator or whatever, where you can put in a zip code or a state, and it will help you find a whole list. So like under Virginia, you'll see me, and then you'll see another franchise owner who operates in Richmond, in the Richmond area. So I highly recommend, if you know of, if you're thinking of a friend or a family member who lives across the country somewhere else, go online there, check to see if they have this service in the area. And if you find a service in the area, you can click on the contact us button. And what will happen if you submit your information is the franchise owner, like myself, will receive that information, like your email, your phone number, and then that franchise owner can share with you their pricing and their model, because it can be a little bit different from mine. The pricing definitely varies based on region for a lot of reasons. And the model can vary a little bit as well. So I definitely recommend going on our website and seeing if we're located in some of those areas that you think somebody could benefit from us.
Thank you, Liz. Feel free, guys, to ask any more questions in the Q&A box.
I always welcome an opportunity to talk more about to talk more about our business and kind of what we've been able to accomplish over the last 5 years. Like, starting out fresh when we really had to get our name out there. Um, I think it was harder to kind of bring folks in, but right now I'm seeing a lot of name recognition. I know there's a lot of partner organizations and companies that are able to refer clients to us because they kind of know that we can fulfill that need. So, it's great. I welcome any opportunity to kind of speak to folks who can benefit from our services. And many of our clients take our information back to, their doctor, their nutritionist, their nurse, whoever, to kind of say, like, this is what's helping me. This is how I've been able to, gain my weight back, or maintain my cholesterol or whatever. So we're always happy to provide more information if anybody on the call wants to contact me. You can easily find my email address online, and Nina can share that as well. But I'm happy to share information with any of your networks or have a consultation if you know somebody who would benefit from us. That is something I offer. I know some people, maybe it's taking them a little bit of time to kind of come around to the idea of having a chef come to your home and cooking in your kitchen, and they want to kind of hear a little bit more about it. I do offer a free consultation where I come visit the home, and I kind of bring printed menu items and talk more about the service, answer questions, and then we talk about the schedule and kind of like, okay, when does it work for you to have a chef come visit if you're interested, and when would you like to start that? And so that's a consultation that I can do in person if that's helpful, for anybody who's really thinking about this but not sure if they truly want to start.
Thank you, Liz, so much for providing that information. To everyone, if you guys can check the chat box, I put all the information for Liz's website and her email to contact. It looks like we don't have any more Q&A right now. Um, so I'll give it like a minute or so if we have any other questions. Thank you so much, Liz. I really appreciate it.
Hmm. And while we wait to see if there's any questions, while we are tailored very much to helping the senior community with meals, I have been getting more and more phone calls just from like younger families who just need a little bit of help. So, whether it's a young mother and father with young kids, and like, the mother and father are working and they want us to help do meal prep for the week. So, there is no age requirement to our service. We serve, young families where we're making kid friendly meals. And then we're serving senior citizens. We're serving, people in their 50s or 60s who don't like cooking. That's fine, so we come in and we take care of that. So, age is not a factor necessarily, but the menu items that we have curated are really tailored to senior citizens. It's comfort food. It's pretty balanced, and still very tasty.
Thank you for that,
Mhm.
Liz. It looks like we don't have any more Q&A or questions right now, but thank you so much, Liz. Is there anything else you would like to share for our attendees this afternoon?
Well, thank you so much for your time today, and thank you, Nina, for coordinating. This has been great talking with all of you. Don't hesitate to reach out to me if you have questions or if you are thinking about this service for somebody. I can help kind of work through that with you. And thank you all for considering this service and keep us in mind if it's something that might benefit you in the future. So I appreciate the opportunity to share more about it with you all.
Thank you so much, Liz, for coming on today and sharing about your wonderful program which for Chefs for Seniors. And for everyone else, thank you so much for attending. This will be on our website recorded in about a week. And please look at the chat box for the information regarding Liz Wing. Okay, well, thank you so much, Liz, and have a great day. The rest of you guys. Take care.
Thank you.
Bye.